What is up, guys? Welcome back to Dan's Reviews, and today I'm doing my weekly Saturday character spotlight for, this week, which, if you're new to this channel, every Saturday I do a Saturday spotlight video where I do a spotlight on a certain character from a television series that I enjoy. This one is going to be for The Walking Dead's Norman Reedus is Daryl Dixon from The Walking Dead television series. Kind of our new lead for The Walking Dead now that Andrew Lincoln is no longer with the original Walking Dead television series anymore. So, wanted to discuss this, because I really feel like for this one, and I did get quite a few suggestions for character spotlights for this week, so unfortunately, I was only able to actually get one. Now, this was suggested by actually a couple people. Epic Zombie Killer suggested this one because, lately at least, because he has become one of the most popular characters in the show. I mean, he always kind of has been, but, ever since Rick is gone, he's kind of the forefront character, and especially since the actor actually just turned 50 years old, Epic Zombie Killer wanted to see a character spotlight video on Daryl. So we're going to do that for today. Next week, I'm either going to do, I haven't decided yet, but I'm either going to do Carol from The Walking Dead or Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. Or I might do another one depending on what suggestions I get in that comment section below. So it's not too late if you want to see a character spotlight video. If there's one that you want to see for next week's Saturday spotlight, all you got to do is write that down in the comment section below, and I will go ahead and do a character spotlight on that character, as long as it's from a TV show that I watch. So, yeah. Cool stuff. So, let's get into this character spotlight because I am very excited. Now, one thing I do want to say too, tomorrow I'm going to be doing my Season 6 The Walking Dead recap leading up to the premiere of the second half of The Walking Dead Season 9. So if you're a fan of Season 6, definitely watch that video tomorrow. I actually went over some of the episodes this weekend and just kind of, glanced over them just real quick so I can kind of get an idea again of this season. This season is amazing. So, yeah, that'll be tomorrow's video. So, 2 minutes into the video, haven't started yet, so let's get started right now. So, Daryl Dixon, so played by Norman Reedus, of course, by, Norman Reedus, who did turn 50 years old. Now, I know a lot of people are kind of stressing about will Daryl stay long-term for Walking Dead. It sounds like Norman Reedus is in it for the long haul, so that's a good thing. So he has actually signed a contract for, I think, 3 more seasons. So that would be 10, 11, and 12. So we're probably good for Daryl, and so did Melissa McBride as Carol. Denai Guerrera, I'm not sure yet, but I'm sure she probably will soon, hopefully at least. And, that is what it is. But she's very busy right now, Denai Guerrero. She's, starring quite a few movies right now. So, it makes sense why she hasn't signed yet. But Daryl Dixon is a character that from the first season, he went from the total outsider of the group to now still kind of being the outsider, but now being one of the forefront characters of the group. So, of course, he is introduced in The Walking Dead Season 1, Episode 2, where, you have the, the scene where he... Episode 3. Yeah, so I do believe it's Episode 3, where he comes out, of course, and he's like, that's my deer, And he's, like, kicking the zombie or whatever, and he's like, calm down, son, that won't help. And he's like, what do you know about old man? So, right off the bat, I just love his character. So, he goes up, of course, to the camp or whatever, and he's like, Merle, we got some squirrel, And Rick's just like, I have something to tell you, So, I love the part, okay, so I laugh so hard. The part where, T-Dog is like, where they're explaining about Merle and what happened to him in the city, and he's just like, I had the key, I dropped it, and he's like, you couldn't pick it up? It's like, wow, yeah, that does sound pretty stupid. If you say it that way, it's pretty stupid, Oh, man, I love that part so much. So, yeah, the part where he's like, you couldn't pick it up? He's just like making it sound like he's so stupid and stuff, like, oh, I just love it. So, right away, he's like, Merle, because he's like, he might be dead, we're not sure, he either is or he ain't, So, love that, yeah. So, Daryl in Season 1, absolutely amazing. So, I love the part, too, where, Rick is just like this, he's like, so, okay, we'll take Glenn, we'll take Daryl, I'll go, and then, T-Dog's just like, I'll go, and he's like, my day just keeps getting better and better, don't it? So, yeah, just, Daryl in Season 1 is, I'm sorry, but he's hilarious. So, they go into the city, And another awesome part is when he's just like, guns first or Merle? And he's like, Merle, we're not even having this conversation. So, yeah, love that part a lot too. So Daryl just, oh my god, he's hilarious in season 1. There's so many parts I could go over. I'm not gonna go over more, but those are some of the ones that I love. So, of course, they find out Merle is gone, and then they're looking for him. They can't find him. He took the vehicle, and they go to the CDC, and still no Merle around that time. So he kind of assembles into the group, and we get the part too where he's drinking with the others or whatever at the CDC or whatever. And he's like, Glenn, I want to see how weird your face can get, So they're kind of they're having a good time. Daryl is pretty much fitting in right away with the others, so that's pretty cool. And then moving on into season 2. When they lose Sophia, he's pretty much one of the only ones that actually goes out there and looks for her for a very long time. Now, he does get pretty injured, in that part in episode 5. Where you've got Merle or whatever, and I love the part too where Merle comes up and he's just like, because he's like, I'm looking for a little girl, and he's like, you got a thing for little girls now? So yeah, he's just like, shut up, So yeah, you've got that, and then you've got kind of Merle telling him to kind of wake up type of thing, and you've got the walker who's kind of trying to eat him or whatever. So you have the arrow that goes through on the on his side, and then stupid Andrea shoots him when he comes back to the farm. Oh my god. So. What a bad day for Daryl, seriously. When he goes out looking for Sophia and just all that stuff that goes, it's just, what a crazy day for Daryl when he's, just one day when he goes out to the swamp, he falls like 2 times, just, wow. And then he then gets shot by Andrea and, like, almost barely survives. So just crazy. So we get, Daryl, who heals up a little bit throughout season 2, kind of, starting to lose hope, like this group is broken type of thing. And, I'd say around this time is when he really starts to assemble into the group, becomes Rick's right-hand man after he has to kill Shane. And, him and Glenn kind of figure out that, Shane killed Randall, Daryl and Glenn kind of go out and they're like, oh, so they find the walker of Randall, but they're trying to find out what killed him. And, they're like, oh, man. So they kind of, they look at each other and they're like, Shane killed him, So I like that part as well. So season 3 goes through, he, finds his brother again, and then, of course, dies at the end of the season, which was a really sad part. People make fun of that Daryl cry face all the time. So then season 4 goes through, he grows the hair out a bit, and, gets a new crossbow, and then, of course, like I said, he kind of, becomes one of the, higher-ranking members of the group, and, becomes part of this council, which the governor is pretty much just like, no, Rick, you come down here and talk to me. There's this council idea, it's done, So, anyway, you've got Daryl, who, of course, throws a grenade into the tank when the governor attacks, and, of course, him and Beth do take off. Now, I'm not going to recap this very much. They have some kind of bond. It's like a friendship, and, basically, the whole episode's just revolved around him and Beth or whatever, and it's kind of a dumb episode, but it's there, and I'll mention it, and that's all I'll say. So, yeah, there is still. So, so he meets up with the others, he meets up with Rick, he meets up with everybody else at Terminus, and, he kind of, I love the part, too, where when they're on the road, and, it's like, he sees the car with the white cross, and him and Carol take off, and it's like, wow, you see how much he cares about Beth now compared to before? So that still episode did kind of do something, you could say. So there's the episode between him and Carol where they're in the city, and, they have to go off the bridge and stuff, and they're kind of talking about starting over and stuff. So that was cool. So then, of course, we get the stuff with Beth and Daryl kind of feeling sad because he lost Beth. And, when he sees that, he just kills Dawn. Such a crazy part for him because he did have a bit of a bond with Beth near the end there. So, he's kind of, pretty depressed for a little while. He gets to Alexandria, and it's like, what is his role in Alexandria? Like, seriously, what is his role in Alexandria? And he doesn't really know until Aaron asks him to recruit, which I did like that scene as well. He gets a new bike, of course. He leads the walkers away with Sasha and Abraham, and meets up with Dwight. So Dwight takes his stuff, of course, which was another crazy part. and you know, he kind of goes through this you know, this kind of part where he wants to kill Dwight, and then he kind of lets it go, and then Denise gets killed, then he wants to kill Dwight again. So it's kind of a you know, the Dwight and Daryl have such a crazy you know, relationship. It's not even funny. They want to kill each other. Then you know, then Daryl's like, all right, we should keep him alive because he can help us against the Saviors, you know, in all out war. And then he wants to kill him again. It's like, oh my god. So but Dwight and, you know, Tara have an even worse relationship. I don't know. It's, yeah. Tara just does not want to stop. Like, she cannot keep herself from not killing Dwight. So until he kind of saves her. So yeah. So, we got that, and then Daryl, of course, gets shot when he's out looking for Dwight, kind of getting revenge for what happened to Denise, which also did kind of affect him a little bit. You know, when they're burying Denise or whatever, he kind of takes a little drink or whatever. So, yeah. So, of course, he gets captured, they're in the lineup, and he punches... Okay, so he punches Negan. So, this is one of his biggest parts, for sure, in the show, because, I mean, look at what that did, you know, because now, you know, Glenn is dead. Now, I don't fault Daryl for that. He does regret that, and he always has to he's probably always going to have to live with that. He feels responsible for Glenn. But the fact that Maggie reassured him that it wasn't, you know, his fault, that scene between the two of them in Season 7, that really did help. So, he got tortured, I mean, then he finally escaped, and then, you know, he had that awesome scene with Maggie, and then in Season 8, he's so ruthless, you know? He wants to kill the Saviors, and that's all he's focused on. Is killing the Saviors. Rick is kind of like, all right, Daryl, you need to chill out a bit. But, yeah, that's for sure. Daryl was pretty crazy in Season 8. So, he kicks out Dwight at the end of the season, and then in Season 9, him and Maggie plot against Rick to kill Negan. So, of course, we don't really know how Daryl feels about that, because Maggie decided to keep him alive in the cell. How does Daryl feel about that, you know? We never got to see that because we got a big time skip, but I'm sure he probably just doesn't even care. He probably doesn't even care anymore because the be safe part, you know, and then Rick goes, and then the part where the bridge blows up, the part that broke my heart is when you see Daryl's face and he just, it made me so sad when he starts crying and he's like, oh man, and then he turns around, and it's like, when Daryl sees Rick get blown up, you know, to him at least, he, like, turns around, and he's just like, I'm done. I'm so done. I can't anymore. I can't be a part of this anymore. I'm done. So he lives on his own, basically, finds a dog, which he calls Dog, and keep that name. I love it. I was always wondering, like, I was making predictions around that time, I was like, what's the name of the dog? What is he going to call his dog? And then, you know, I'm like, you know what? You know what? Like, Dog, that's something Daryl would do. Just call it Dog, you know? So, whatever. So, now, of course, you know, is going to actually help the survivors again, reunites with Carol and the others, and, you know, Henry and the others. They convince him to go back, and then, in the mid-season finale, helps them tremendously against the Whisperers. And, I mean, Daryl, at this point... Can I say right now, Daryl is my favorite character alive in the show, that's in the original TV series? I think I can say that. I think so. You know, Michonne's second, but Daryl right now is, for me, he's the character that I'm finding the most interesting right now. I love what they're doing with him post what happened after Rick, and I'm really enjoying Daryl right now in the original series, and it looks like he's going to get a lot of time this half season. So, really cool stuff. Cannot wait to see what they do with Daryl in the second half. So, write your comments in that comment section below. This was a very long character spotlight, but I wanted to go through Daryl's journey in the you know, original Walking Dead television series. Write your comments below, and I'll end the video here. And, of course, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Season 6 recap coming tomorrow, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.